Hello everyone. In this video I would like to finish the discussion about verses number 101, 102 and 103 of chapter 4 inshallah. Verse number 103 or 103 is usually not paid too much attention and is kind of discounted, is a small verse. However, when I want to tell you that whenever you see some verse is not discussed, know that that verse is probably one of the most important verses. And such is the case with verse number 103 or 103. Let's read it together and you will know why. So in this verse it says, فَإِذَا قَضَيْتُمُ الصَّلَاةَ. It means when the Salah was finished. So in order to understand what we are talking about, please go to my previous video, very detailed and comprehensive video about verse number 102. In that video, I just literally we discussed everything over there. So it just to give you a very quick summary, it was a one rak'ah or 1 unit Salah that Quran described in verse number 102, and that's what you would expect from Allah to do, because you don't need the second rak'ah explanation, because the second rak'ah is basically this is the second rak'ah and is basically a copy of the first rak'ah. So we are talking about two exactly the same units that exist in the Salah. So it's a mathna. It means both. It's like a wings of two birds. You know, birds have two wings. Each wing is similar to the other wing. The same thing with the Salah. Salah is a vehicle that connects you to the sky. Salah connects you to the heaven. It's just like that bird with two wings. So Salah is your two wings for spiritual ascent. So I say this again because this is important. Salah grants you two wings for spiritual turning towards Allah. So please learn this. So each unit of the Salah is one of your wings. So first unit is your wing number 1, and the second unit or second rak'ah is your second wing, and they are both the same. So Allah describes the first rak'ah of a farada or 1 unit. Therefore, you can know for sure that the second unit, which is the exact same thing, is a repetition of that first unit. And Allah describes for us the first unit. The verse very clearly told us that the Salah starts with standing, and then you end the Salah right after the prostration. So standing, and you end the Salah right after prostration. We did mention that rak'ah is not mentioned, or bowing is not mentioned over there, because it doesn't need to be mentioned. You can't get from position number 1, which is a standing, to position number 3, which is sujud, without bowing down. There is no sane way of doing that other than bowing down. Bowing and kneeling. So regardless of if you kneel first or you bow first, that doesn't matter. That's the only way that you can get from position number 1 to position number 3. And if you want to learn how to do bowing according to the Quran, please watch my video about those who give zakah while bowing down, and Allah clarifies that for us in the Quran. So some brothers came, some comments that I have received, or questions that I have received is like, okay, we sit at the end of the Salah and do Tashahhud or do Salam, or after prostration. Obviously, as you know, in traditional Islam, they sit after prostration, or they prostrate twice. And if you prostrate twice, you have to sit. So again, I want to clarify, if someone does 2 prostration at the end of each rak'ah or each unit, then you have to sit. Sitting is introduced into the Salah in that case. First of all, there's nowhere in the Quran that says you have to prostrate twice. In fact, quite the opposite. I mentioned that in the previous verse. It says فَإِذَا سَجَدُوا. It means when they prostrate once. If it was two prostration, Allah would have said فَإِذَا سَجَدُوا مَرَّتَيْنِ, when they prostrate twice, whereas that is not the case. So Allah doesn't say that. So that's an bid'ah, that's a new invention, that's an addition to the Quran through the insinuation of the devil. So there's only one prostration. I'll explain that. Please watch that video. That's very comprehensive if you want to know the details about that. But let me tell you what would have happened if there was any sitting in the Salah. So if there was any sitting in the Salah, Allah would have given us clues in the Quran. Allah would have said something. Just as you know, Allah talks about those who are standing reading the Quran, those who are prostrating, so, and also those who bow. So qa'imin, raki'in, sajidin, or ruk'a sujud, or ruk'a tarahum ruk'an sujada. But you never find anything in the Quran about sitting and doing that in the Salah. You never find anything. If there was such a thing, what would you expect to find? So let's read the rest of this verse, and you're going to see that yourself. So it says, فَاذْكُرُوا اللَّهِ فَإِذَا قَضَيْتُمُ الصَّلَاةَ, when you finish the Salah. He's talking about the position of war. So you have shortened your Salah from 2 rak'ah or 2 unit to 1 rak'ah and 1 unit. Then Allah says, when you finish the Salah, فَاذْكُرُوا اللَّهِ, remember Allah, فَاذْكُرُوا اللَّهِ, remember Allah, قِيَامًا, standing. So qiyaman means while standing. Qu'udan means while sitting. وَعَلَى جُنُوبِكُمْ, it means on your sides, while you are lying on your side. So I'm reading down this for you. So remember Allah standing, sitting, and lying on your side. So Allah is telling us 3 other positions. So the first position is a standing. So standing obviously is common. It's a common, you stand up, you have to go to work, you stand up to make a cup of tea, you stand up to say hi to someone. So it's very common, right? So just when you finish the Salah, you're walking, you're standing, remember Allah. But remember the second one, actually Allah talks about sitting. It says qu'udan. So qu'udan is not common to the Salah. This is a great clue for you to realize that qu'udan is not common to the Salah. There is no sitting in the Salah. Allah is not shy of telling the truth. He tells us if there was any sitting in the Salah, you would expect to find qa'idin. You never find anything about qu'adan or qa'idin or anything. You never find anything about qa'idin or qa'id in the Salah. In fact, it's the opposite. It's used a couple of other times for, it has bad connotation with sitting, when you're sitting behind the war and things like that. So you never mention that. The other thing is that you never lying on your side, you never see that as well. So you know that these 2 and 3 are not in the Salah at all. So because remember the previous verse, and please go ahead and look at the previous verse about the Salah, tells us the position of the Salah. Starts with standing, ends on prostration. And from that, we can easily understand that there is a ruku in the middle or bowing down. Otherwise, you are not able to go into the prostration position. So there's no point in, and Allah is very wise, and He has not put the bowing or ruku over there because there's no need to. But here, in this verse, in verse 103, Allah goes over normal positions. So after you have finished the Salah in a war situation, now, while you're standing and walking, while you are sitting, while you are on your side, remember Allah. So it actually is mentioning that sitting position. So my brothers, my sisters, don't sit in your Salah. That's a bid'ah. That's a huge thing you are doing. I know some of you think that that's nothing, I'm just sitting. It's not about that. You're following the devil. You're following the way that devil introduced into Islam in what you know as Shia Sunni Islam, of these Islamic sects. You're following that way. You're basically you're turning your back at the way of the Quran. You're choosing to follow the way that Lucifer introduced in it. So you never find that in Quran. Don't do it. Don't la tubtalu a'malakum. Don't cancel your reward. Don't do that to yourself. Just stick to the Quran. Don't add to it and don't decrease from it. Just stay pure to the Quran. Purify your religion for Allah. Just do it the way Allah tells you. Allah does not tell you in the Quran to do any sort of tashahhud. Because if you do tashahhud, you have to sit. There is no sitting in the Quran, in the Salah, in the Quran. The sitting, if there was any sitting, Allah would say qa'idin. Allah would say jalisin. Or qa'idun, jalisun. But there is none of this. As you can see, in fact, Allah is not shy. In fact, you come to this verse, Allah purposefully mentions sitting. He says, and sitting happens when? After Salah is over. He says, after Salah is over, you have done your Salah, feel free to sit and remember Allah, but your Salah is over. So if you want to do your Salah, do your Salah. I do my Salah and I sit afterwards, but it's not part of my Salah. As soon as my prostration is over, I change my position in a way that everyone knows that I'm no longer in Salah, because I want to send a message across. I want Allah to know that, hey, my King, my Creator, my Lord, the one I love more than anything in this world, the one who created me, know that I acknowledge your word, I acknowledge your book, and I obey you with all my heart and all my faith and all my mind, and my Salah is over. I am sitting, but I'm sitting in a different position. I do prayers, I do pray, I do praise, I do glorify, but my Salah is over. That's not part of my Salah. That's nothing to do with Salah. So there's no sitting. After prostrations, there's no sitting. Don't go to that position after prostration. Stand up right away, because as soon as you sit after prostration here, as soon as you come back and sit, you're introducing a sitting here. Do not do that. Don't introduce any sitting. There is no sitting. You have to go back up right away. So don't introduce into Salah the insinuation of the Satan. Don't follow those people who are following Lucifer. True hadith and all those things, they're following their God. They're sons of Lucifer. You are not. You are servants of Allah. So only stick to Allah and His words. Do not add to it and do not decrease from it. Just follow it as is. That way you can be sure that you are saying, you're performing your Salah just like Prophet Muhammad did, just like Abraham did, just like Moses did, just like Jesus did. Just to stay with it. Don't add to it. Do not decrease from it. So, and also, if you are not, there's no sitting, there's no salam at the end of, some people send salam to each other. There's no such thing. Salah is over. Salah is over after your prostration. Salah is an act of turning towards Allah. You should not be sending, it's just for Allah. Salah is just for Allah. Again, I'm going to say this again to you so you can see. Salah grants you 2 wings. It's just 2 wings. Rak'ah number 1, first wing. Rak'ah number 2, second wing. Imagine you are a bird. For spiritual turning towards Allah. So Salah is your 2 wings that takes you up, that connects you to God, connects you to heaven from earth. So that's why it's a mathna. What does it mean? It means 2 units. It's a doubly 2 units. Each unit is the same. So I hope that you choose to perform your Salah according to the Quran. Also, please stay away from those who think Salah is Quran session. Salah is not Quran session. If it was Quran session, let me just tell you this, just so, because there's a lot of it, and unfortunately Satan is misleading a lot of people through this new age hadith. It's a new age hadith. You have Bukhari, you have Muslim, Those are old age hadith, right? Now we have this new age hadith and these false teachers that are going around. Their goal is to abolish the Salah the other way. You know, the traditional Muslims, Shia, Sunni, they abolish the Salah through adding to it and increasing it. It's a new religion they have created after the Prophet. And majority of the people who call themselves Muslims are following that old age hadith. But now there is this new age hadith that they are saying that this is all Quran session. There is no standing, there is no prostration, there is no ruku. And prostration means being submitting, and ruku means respectful. I mean, it's not even, of course prostration means submitting, because when you're prostrating, you're submitting. And when you are bowing, you are being respectful. So that's if anyone knows the history and how the world was, I mean, this is quite understandable. It's a connotation of it. But they're denying that's a physical act because they just don't want to perform their salah. That's what it is. Well, don't say it. Why you have to mislead the entire world about salah? So avoid that. In fact, actually, this verse answers that. So if you look at this, if that was the case, why would Allah come and says in this verse that after you have completed the salah, remember Allah standing, sitting on your side? So this is Quran session. Do your Quran session this way. This is Quran session. This is Quran session. But remember, this Quran session after salah is over. Hello? Wake up. Salah is over. Now you do Quran session anytime you want it. You have to do Quran session a lot. But Salah is a different thing. Salah is a physical ritual of turning towards Allah. Peace and blessing to all of you.